What is good? It's your boy, I'm back here with another video. In this video today, guys, we're going to be reacting to DBG's video titled The History of Cheese in NBA 2K MyTEAM. Now, I would like to think, now this is just me, that I am one of the cheesiest players in my team history. Now, I'm not always the most skillful when I say that, like dribbling stuff like that, but when there's cheese like the 2k19 Eurostep dunk, I'm one of the first people to take advantage of it. So I'm interested to hear DBG's point of view, his perspective on everything, and go from there.
So NBA 2K MyTEAM every year has exploits. It is one of the cheesiest game modes in all of gaming. Honestly, from the beginning, it has been a case of who can exploit the game better is probably going to win. So starting off...
And I feel like alongside that, who can pick up on people's cheese as well.
With NBA 2K13, the biggest cheese in that game was without question the Eurostep 3s. It basically meant, in fairness, that like you had to play on-ball defense. Because if you off-balled, someone would just shoot a Eurostep 3 in your face and you couldn't guard it. A little bit like today's like snatchback.
Yo, what am I watching right now?
Or the leaners, except they did create more space. But it was back in like a less skill time in 2K where contests were very much a case of like, sometimes they work, sometimes they didn't. So the Eurostep 3, if you play against someone using it, especially if they equipped Acrobat, it became even better. Didn't even really have to time it.
What am I watching?
Run near the basket, double tap square. You would do a Eurostep into a three-point shot, bang, every single time. In NBA 2K14, the cheese was the duplicate players. So
I've heard about this. Somebody told me about this in my stream the other day.
Probably didn't face many of them if you guys did play this game. But for me, I was like super sweat. Man, I was 17 years old. I was cheesing everybody. I ran
Classic.
Michael Jordan at the 1, Michael Jordan at the 2, Michael Jordan at the 3, Kevin Durant at the 4, I can't remember, like Hakeem or something at the 5. And off the bench, I ran Michael Jordan at the 1, LeBron James at the 2, LeBron James at the 3, another Kevin Durant at the 4, and somebody else at the 5. It was just crazy. If you faced off against somebody using the duplicate player glitch, I'm telling you, it was GG's. It was GG's. You might as well quit on lineup screen because you knew they took the game way too seriously in a time when there was no need to. NBA 2K15 was the cheesiest play in history. Because in a way defense worked in that game, they literally couldn't guard it. There was a play called 63 Fists or Horns 91 Fist. Both of them did the same thing. It was a Horns screen, but it started from the wing. So you came off the main screen, and then the guy who you came off the screen would then go into the corner on like a pin down. So what ended up happening was you had two choices. You could either use baseline cheese, and you just couldn't guard baseline that game. Come off the lower screen and just dunk it on somebody.
Yo, this literally looks unguardable. Imagine running plays in my team though. Imagine.
Once you got into an animation, it was a dunk every time. Or you could go and attack middle, and you would either go middle and dunk it on them because their defense always helped in. And normally the defense on both sides helped in, so you could either hit the right corner or, well, the corner, strong side corner, or you could go and hit the guy who's coming off the flare screen into the opposite corner. It was literally the like quick horns 4 flare from now, except on the wing and literally unguardable because corners dropped every time. NBA 2K16 was Steph Curry. Nothing really in the game, just a specific player, and it was Steph Curry. The man was just...
And the crazy part is, I didn't really play the game back then, like 2K13 to 2K16, so like all this is over my head. 2K17 T-Mac from Limitless is what I remember.
I'm sorry to anyone who never experienced Steph Curry, but he shoot from half court. Like he literally would two-hand half court heave and it would go in at probably 50% rate. He also had a scoop layup in the game that year, where it went so high that it was literally unblockable. The best player in 2K16, and it wasn't particularly close. 2K17 was the first year to 5-out.
Yo, and I remember the worst part about the 2K17 5-out. Like 5-out's hard right now, but like people would spot up from so deep and you had to on-ball people. Like that was like the thing back then. You had to on-ball people, which was basically impossible. Like wagers, everything was all on-ball.
And it also had momentum crossing. It was the first year of both 5-out and momentum crossing being like OP, and no one really knew how to guard it. It was still back in the day where most people played on ball, so literally it was a case of someone on balling your point guard, 5-out momentum cross dunk.
That's what I'm saying. Dunk. Everybody played on ball.
They send help, kick to the corner, green to 3 every single time. It was just unguardable. Like I sucked at 17 for a while, then I learned how to cheese the game, and I mean, I don't think I lost a game in NBA 2K17 for like the last 6 weeks of its cycle from just 5 etchies. NBA 2K18, however, this
blow-bys were horrible in Pro-Am too, because this is when I played Pro-Am heavy. It was horrible.
Was the year where it did not matter. It did not matter what defense you played. And I'm sorry, you could have the best on-ball defense ever. You could have the best bait defense ever. It didn't matter. The only way to stop the blow-by was playing zone. And zone was very easy to beat because, again, zone just is easy to beat. If you've got high basketball IQ, you can beat a zone. You can beat a zone through passing, or even just go to the 2-3 zone freelance, dump the ball into the high post, and you're going to have a wide open shooter somewhere because the zone drops in, and you're going to have a dump down pass if the zone moves in a weird way. Either way, though, that was the only way to stop the blow-by. The blow-bys
were crazy.
Literally run.
Look at how overpowered bailout was back then. Oh my gosh. Ew.
You would run through bodies. It was just impossible. It was impossible to guard. Like, you could play the best player in the world and you're cooking them. Like, you might lose. You might lose. Like, I remember I played Crypto Rebel that year. And he was like one of the best in the world. Legitimately one of the best in the world.
Crypto was good.
And I got popped. I'll admit it. I'm big enough and bold enough to admit that I got popped. But when I say I got popped,
what am I
mean,
watching?
Like, I scored every single possession. He just hit more threes. Like, simple as that. I scored basically every possession. I think it was a 10-point game in it. But against one of the best 3 players in the world at that time, literally scoring every possession from the blow-by. NBA 2K19.
I was gonna say 2K19. It might have to be like I don't even know, man. Shaq at point guard was it. Late in the year, Shaq at point guard was literally too much.
A lot of people remember the Hito leaner, but the cheese was base 11, especially pre 250K with the shot contest.
Base
they
11
put in a
was
shot contest
OP.
patch, and it was a weird one because it used to literally be in 2K19 if you didn't flick up your analog stick, it was a open no matter what. And then they brought in like this shot
Even post fades were so overpowered.
Patch, and the only thing that it did was make it so that if you were under 6'5", you would be contested without your hand up. If you're above 6'5", they still need to put their hand up. Basically, they made it so that shot contests being broken for everybody.
This had to be one of the most fun games ever, though. I'm not gonna lie, this game was fun
because obviously they only made this for Park. If you have a height advantage, they can't contest you. So basically, all this did, my team, was mean that people just ran tall players at base 11. Base 11 was the hardest to contest release outside of Luka in 2K22, but it literally was a case of
base 11
literally was
so
just
chill.
a case of use the tallest players in the game base 11. Use your Tom Gugliotas, use your Hitos, use your AK-47s, use your Bob Pettits, use your James Worthies. Probably put your Gilbert Arenas to the side. Use your Antoine Jamesons, and that was it. Like, you use those guys, and
then if you have collector level Giannis and Shaq at point guard, you're gonna be an issue.
Center, and it was GG's. They couldn't guard you. You would hold the square button, and it was a case of do you time correct or do you not time correct. If yes, ball goes in. If not, ball probably still goes in because 2K19. But yeah, that was a year with trail cheese. That was a year with post fades. It didn't matter. Base
offense was so overpowered.
Was a freaking joke that year.
He said base 98. No, jump shot 11. But yeah, same thing.
Absolute joke. NBA 2K20. Like, it did have the D-Pash.
Hey, look at me.
The D-Pash for a lot of the year would have been the cheese, and it probably was the cheese.
It was.
And I'm going to put that as the main cheese above the tween. The tween, oh my god. The freaking dribble glitch. You ran in a straight line.
I'm not gonna lie. I think the dribble glitch was the biggest cheese. I'm not gonna lie.
Either dribbling the ball between your legs or behind your back. It did.
But the problem was the dribble glitch didn't really come into my team until late in the year. So
the tweens were all equally as effective. I hate to admit it. They were all equally as effective. You would then get to the elbow. You would tap the square button. You would hop step the whole length of the key and dunk. That's all you have to do. Giannis, Yao Ming, Ben Simmons, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Rudy Gay.
Yeah, and
LeBron
then the behind
James,
the back dribble glitch too.
Isaac Bonga. Trying to think who else had a tween.
It was
LaMelo
too much.
Ball had a tween. James Wiseman had a tween. Bill Walton had a tween who could play point guard that year. literally, you got a 6'8 plus player who could dribble glitch in a straight line. You walked in a straight line until you hit the elbow and you press square and you dunked. And yeah, that was basically it. We had dancing around screen.
I'm not gonna lie, this was the biggest cheese right here.
It means we had freaking quick true SDS for offline. We had so much cheese that year, but the tween was just broken. But I'm still going deep hash. I'm still going deep hash. Because the tween was really in the game for a month, deep hash in the game for a year. You literally just attacked the basket at an angle and you would force all corners to drop. You couldn't really guard running to the basket at that angle. And
you couldn't, because if somebody would cut it off, you could peek the other way.
The only reason the deep hash doesn't work now is because if you try to attack that angle, they programmed it so that your own player will cut you off. Like, not the other team's defenders. The 2K defense still can't guard deep hash. The problem is the devs literally made it so that your own player will guard your player running to the basket.
It was so overpowered.
It is completely wild. Completely wild. But yeah, deep hash, clearly not a thing anymore. But rim running for 2K23, man outside of Giants, might be the next most OP thing. Now we're on to NBA 2K21, and
this was crazy.
Two. Because there's current gen, next gen.
I'm not gonna lie, the current gen speed glitch was overpowered. It was too crazy.
Like, you're just playing with race cars. You're just speed glitching all over the floor. It's hard to guard. It's really just stupidly hard.
What was it? 2K, 20? Was that the momentum behind the back at the start of the year too? DBG, I don't even think mentioned that. That was overpowered too. It got patched, but that was overpowered.
Whatever with the Curry slide and everything being good. No, it was speed glitching. And then on 2K21 next gen, it was running past people with Giants. So there was not even an exploit. It was the worst programmed speed in the game. So they launched the game, cool, it's fine. They've then brought in a patch in January that made tall players faster with the ball than without the ball. So say if you were 7
Look at this. Look at Sean Bradley running. He's so fast.
60 speed. And he'll be faster
than a
so bad. 6 foot or a 5'11 player with 99 speed. And you might be saying, oh, but they have longer strides. No, that wasn't it. So smaller players, when they had the ball, slowed down and they couldn't, like a small player dribbling the ball, couldn't move. They just couldn't dribble the ball. But
look at Simbular.
But if you had a small player without the ball, they'd run 10 times faster than a tall player. So a 7'2 player versus a, let's just say 6'2 player, if they both have the ball, the 7'2 player will run the length of the court so much faster than the 6'2 player. Not even
comparable. It was bad.
If they don't have the ball, the 6'2 player would run it.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna say it. 2K21 next gen was horrible.
Way faster than the 7'2 player. So Giants were super slow without the ball, but unbelievably fast with the ball. And small players were super fast without the ball and slow with the ball. So basically it meant that nobody could guard anybody. Like, if you ran a small player, they were locked down on defense because they were so much faster than everybody else on defense. But yet, when they had the ball in their hand, they were slow, so they couldn't play offense. And then the tall players couldn't guard anybody. So what it meant is that people running Taco, Simbular, Yao Ming, Bobo, no one could guard them because the only people fast.
I will say, like, this game was horrible, but it still looks fun because of all the cheese.
Fast enough to guard a Taco, a Bobo, because they were 7'6" with the speed with ball exploit, were the small players. So you had to, like, sacrifice. You had to run, like, I was running Bill Russell to guard Taco because Taco couldn't guard Taco. But then, if my opponent could post hook and they could center post hooks, I couldn't guard them with Bill Russell. Like, you literally had to set your matchups. And if you try to put Taco on Taco, Taco was too fast for Taco on both ends. Because Taco ran like Usain Bolt with the ball and ran like me on a bad Achilles without the ball. But yeah, 2K21, it's hard to describe how just broken that game was. 2K22's Luka. Like, I know you current gen guys are going to say, oh, but Luka sucked on our gen. Who the hell cares? You're playing on current gen. Like, go.
I'm not gonna lie, Luka was so good.
We use Michael Jordan. He had the same thing as Luka for that gen.
Michael Jordan on current gen was it.
But yeah, Luka Doncic, you literally press square. You press square. He was the highest,
He was the biggest bailout maybe in my team history over the bailout badge.
To use player in the history of the game. You walk past the halfway line and you press square. Nothing else. You just press square.
Look at all the contesteds going in.
You shot a white, contested white. Didn't matter. Ball went in because whites went in 22. You shot a very late, ball probably went in. Like, I'm telling you, it was the most broken.
Look at all the opens.
And 2K23, this button, being a rat, triangle cuts. It's triangle cuts. And not only specifically triangle cuts, it's just everything about the height meta. so tough.
I feel like it all goes back to mashing being overpowered. That's my opinion. Yes, triangle cuts are hard to guard, but it all is because mashing, like he's saying, height. Mashing is just overpowered.
All players this
That's
year,
me.
They put in a contest system to stop mashing in park. And what it basically did,
it does not
because
work.
Again, with every gameplay thing and every patch, the 2K devs don't test how it's going to be on 99 speed players or 7.6 players. Like, I can guarantee you 2K bring in a patch, just like what we obviously saw what happened in 2K21, because big 7'3" guys have 40 speed, and it was unnoticeable how much they ruined the game with the patch. And I guarantee it happened with this year's patch, because like pre-layup patch, there was a patch in like November that basically meant that nobody can make layups unless they were 7'5". You just couldn't make layups. The endgame somehow can make layups, but nobody else could make a layup.
Like, look at this. Mashing should not be like this. I'm sorry, it shouldn't.
They were 7'5". But what ended up happening was
sad.
they clearly didn't test Yao Ming because Yao was just unbelievable. You couldn't, if Yao was on your opponent's team, you couldn't score a layup because Yao, with his hands down by his side, would contest you from anywhere to try stop mashing. But all it did was meant that the only guys that could mash were like 7'3" or taller. And if you had a like 3-inch height advantage, you would score every time in the paint. And if you didn't have a 3-inch height advantage, you would miss open.
Like, even on rim badge, it doesn't matter. Everything's
It was the worst patch, and it clearly
mashing's gotta be
gameplay
fixed.
devs who tested it and play now
Gotta be fixed.
and didn't realize how it would translate to my team, because the gameplay devs, I can guarantee you, don't play my team. I can guarantee you, not only did not play my team, they could not give a damn about my team. But basically, yeah, that's just what happened. It's just what happened. It meant Taco ran riot. It meant that a freaking Taco with 60 speed from March is still one of the best centers in the game.
He is. Pink Diamond Taco is still him because height runs the game and mashing is overpowered.
It meant that
look at this, overpowered.
Yao Ming card from January is my starting center. It meant that Victor is the best my team player we've ever seen. And then to add on to all that, the triangle button. Taller players.
I don't even think it's the triangle button though. It's just the fact that the backdoor animation, they just go right through your body.
The only ones that can pass the ball. Small players for some reason can't even pass. Small players get stripped more often. It's just literally the game. They did not test how this game plays with Giants. They didn't. Simple as that. The devs don't care about the My Team game mode.
I do remember, I mean, my teams are, the game has always been broken with height. I remember when I played in the first play now tourney, that would have been in 2K20. Post hooks with Boban was too overpowered.
And the 2K, like, content guys aren't gameplay devs. So they put in a Yao Ming, not realizing that it would completely ruin their game mode. They put in Yao, they put in Taco, they didn't realize the actual repercussions it was going to have. But at the end of the day, it's not their problem, it's a problem of the gameplay devs not testing for their biggest moneymaker. Anyway, that is the video. I hate 2K23.
I'm not gonna lie, the more I think about 2K23, the more I think it's a horrible game. I used to not mind it, but with mashing, it's just not fun.
Worry about this. But yeah, that's the video. Of the biggest cheeses, which one do I think was the like most cheese? Without question, 2K21 Giants. You literally couldn't stop anybody.
I feel like, I don't know, dribble glitch, I would say, to me, in 2K19 has to be the biggest.
If you had
That's me, though.
If you had Simbular, if you had Sean Bradley, Yao Ming, Manute Bol shooting guard, you ran to the basket and you'd score every time. It didn't matter who you were playing. Like, I remember playing some of the best guys in the States with that. And on delay, scoring every single possession because they couldn't guard me. That is, without question, the cheesiest.
For me, though, guys, definitely dribble glitch. The tween, it was just horrible. I mean, anybody could literally be good at that game. That's gonna wrap it up, guys. Massive shout out to DBG. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.